Earlier, CNBC Africa spoke to Grant Pattison, CEO of ailing retailer Edcon, on the group's turnaround strategy.
I've had a really good time. Before I got appointed, I was 6 months in the group, learning the industry, learning the company, and the last 2 months have been a hell of a lot of fun. Obviously with some challenges and difficulties, but I must say when I'm in stores and talking to customers and dealing with the media, it's been a lot of fun.
You have a 4-point plan turnaround strategy. Elaborate that for me and how Edcon would come off stronger for it.
So the 4-point strategy is really more a financial strategy. So it talks about increasing trading density. It talks about increasing stock turn. These are two important financial measures. It also talks about focusing on people and improving customer service. And finally, it talks about building out our financial services business, which Edcon is very blessed to have one of the biggest and best financial services businesses in the country.
Some say that Grant Pattison has great retail experience, but none in the apparel and in this kind of business. What do you say to those who doubt that you can turn this around?
Well, I think first of all, if you're a CEO, you must acknowledge and recognize your weaknesses. And in those areas where you don't have necessarily the lifelong experience, what you must do is recognize that and bring in people to help you. So what I would say, though, is that Edcon, remember, is a multi-format, large international retailer. And actually the people who run the retail part of the business, those people work for me, and my job is to make sure they are really good. We've got the best people in the country and that they've got good focus and good support. So the CEO of Edcon doesn't decide about closing. The CEO of Edcon decides about forming a great team and putting together a strong strategy and helping the team implement it.
We saw Mr. Price get into a bit of a jam last year following their decision on what they took before the El Nino weather pattern kind of changed the longevity of the winter months, and such things can take a strain on the business. So who do you have to advise you on those kinds of decisions, considering that you say you're not a fashion expert?
Yeah, so look, there's an entire industry of advisors out there. Fashion trends are often identified and created globally. So what I would say is I don't think so much of the success or failure of a business is whether or not you can predict those unpredictable events. It's more about how do you respond to them. And I think the test of leadership, and my leadership will be how quickly can we acknowledge we got it wrong, and then how fast can we respond and fix it. I think that's rather the test than trying to run a business in such a way you never make errors.
Grant, you've been losing money and you have to cut costs. What does that mean in the greater scheme of things when we're talking about possibly closing your flagship store, the Edgar store in downtown, and what does that mean for jobs?
So specifically, we're not closing the store downtown at all, but generally we won't be commenting for obvious reasons on specific store closures. These are staff work in these stores, these are their lives, and we'd rather communicate to them directly. On cutting costs, if I'm really honest, I think that there's been a lot of cost cutting at Edcon over the last 10 or 15 years. And as a leader of a business, you've got to decide whether you're cutting into fat or muscle. And I must tell you, I'm a little bit worried we're into the muscle now. So no, any turnaround strategy is not going to be based on cutting costs. Those strategies only last a year. What we've got to do is pick the brands that we think are successful, pick the formats that we are successful, invest in those formats and grow them. That's really the only way out. Top line growth, not cost cutting.
You're mostly a bricks and mortar entity, and you're competing against the new players in the retail space, your Zondos, your whatnots, and you have an affluent young customers who are very aware of what e-commerce gives them. How do you compete in that space?
Yeah, so I think we welcome the entry of the specialist online retailers. They're all over the world. I think they're going to play a valid role. We're already online in all our brands, and invite all the consumers and watchers of your program, go onto our sites. What you'll see there is our first efforts at that, but it's possible today to buy clothing from any of our stores and have them delivered at home. So we think we're in that game. It's small, but we'll keep going.
You were in talks over the refinancing of some 2 billion rands for the group. Can you update us on that?
I can't provide any update on that at all. We're in discussions with the banks. We're a listed company. We'll only be able to communicate via the Irish Stock Exchange.
Finally, your strategy for Africa?
Southern Africa, not Africa. We've got a business in Ghana, and we like it, but really we're going to focus on Southern Africa. For the moment, I think first we must get South Africa working properly. We'll keep the rest of Southern Africa as maintenance mode. The moment we see it start turning in South Africa, my attention will shift to get those businesses working really well.